LEGO Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy was such a pleasant surprise of my television viewing experience last year. It was a show that I just happened to stumble upon and instantly ended up loving, despite never having such a deep connection with Star Wars. I've rewatched the first season multiple times since then, and when I found out that a second season was coming, I was eagerly anticipating it, excited to see where these characters I had grown to love would go. As soon as I clicked play on the second season titled Pieces of the Past, I got the same astonished and delighted feeling I got the first time I clicked play on season 1. The second season matches the first on almost every front, from its stunning animation all the way to its heart-wrenching and gut-busting writing. In my opinion, this season develops Sig and Dev's stories amazingly and expands upon every character in a great way. So let's talk about this season. I absolutely love what the show does with Sig and Dev's arcs. Last we saw Dev, he was in a vulnerable emotional state, feeling conflicted over fighting Sig, after Sig had been insisting that they were brothers, and that he could help him not be lonely anymore. Dev ultimately let Sig go instead of taking over the galaxy. Dev's arc in the first season was met with high hopes for how they would continue his story in the next season. I think they definitely delivered, making that moment with Sig really mean something, and developing his character in a significant way. At the beginning of the season, we first see Dev searching for power that has been calling out to him in his dreams. Although he is struggling with loneliness, he doesn't feel ready to go to Sig yet, and still thinks it is his destiny to find more power and take over the galaxy. We then cut to Sig, who is seeing all of this through his own dreams. Sig and Dev's dreams being connected between each other and reality is some real Percy Jackson stuff. If you know, you know. The first season was all about Sig accepting that the galaxy has changed and deciding to embrace the hero role his brother had always pushed him to embrace. In this season, we get to see more of how Sig leads others, and his most prominent arcs revolve around his relationships with Dev and Jedi Bob. In this first episode, we learn that Sig has accepted that his brother is on his own journey, despite him still believing there's good in Dev ever since he let him go. Sig only feels the need to go after him after these dreams signal him that Dev is in danger and he feels that only he can help him. Eventually, Sig is able to go after Dev, and when they meet again, Dev is still pushing him away, not ready to accept Sig into his life, while Sig tries everything he can to protect his brother. While Jedi Bob thinks that Sig's attachment to Dev could lead him to the dark side, like in Sig's vision from season 1, Sig is convinced that going after Dev will have the opposite effect, bringing Dev back to the light side. Dev and Sig start to fight, and their conflict ends up releasing Solitus from Forcehold. Solitus then banishes Sig and Dev to Forcehold, where they are forced to work together. I think Forcehold is a really interesting setting to send the characters this season, and I like how they experimented with different types of LEGO characters like Brickhead Ahsoka. I do think it is very similar to the Void from the MCU though, and it might be cool to see a different type of idea going forward than just a place where discarded things and neglected people get sent. In Forcehold, Sig and Dev realize how well they work together, and we can tell that this time together is the push that Dev has needed. He is starting to become more open to the idea of joining his brother. I love how we get to see Dev's hesitation and then his slow acceptance of joining his brother as the two of them spend more time together. It makes their relationship feel more authentic. In the next episode, when Sig and Dev meet up with the others after escaping Forcehold, Sig floats around the idea of Jedi Bob teaching Dev, but Jedi Bob refuses, saying that Dev can never come back from the dark side. Dev seems genuinely upset, and when Servo shows him a memory of him and Sig from the previous galaxy, we see that Dev wants to be with his brother but doesn't think he can, because the others don't believe he can ever be anything other than a Sith. I love how they use Dev's loneliness to throw the audience off, having him seemingly betray the others because of Jedi Bob's comments. When we find out he only did what he did because it was the only way to save Sig, it's very gratifying and brings his arc to a great high point. He finally admits that all he wants is to not be alone, to be with Sig, the only person who still believed in him. I think Dev is truly the main character of this season, and his arc is very satisfying to watch. Sig also plays a great role in this season, building off of his position as a newfound hero from season 1, taking a leadership role and helping Dev along on his arc. It's great to see him and Dev finally reunite, and I'm excited to see where the characters go from here. I also really enjoyed how Jedi Bob's arc intersected with the other characters. His whole arc this season has to do with him being insecure about his role as a teacher. He feels he isn't the best possible teacher for Sig, foreshadowing how his own teacher Solitus let him down. His connection to Solitus also helps make Solitus a much more interesting character. Seeing how his own teacher went down such a dark path shows why he is so hesitant to teach Dev. Someone he was close to and trusted turned to the dark side, and he knew he had no intention of turning back, so he was forced to send him to Forcehold. This experience makes him hesitant to trust anyone who has turned to the dark side. This distrust he has is a very compelling flaw, and leads to really interesting dynamics between him and the rest of the characters. I think Jedi Bob's scenes with Dev were some of the best scenes in the whole season because it showed so much more about each of their characters. Having Jedi Bob intervene with the growing trust and friendship between Sig and Dev helps add an extra layer of emotion to Dev's arc, showing that no matter what he does, the others around Sig won't accept him like his brother does. Not until the end of the season, of course, when Dev reveals that he was always on their side. I liked seeing Jedi Bob apologize to Dev and realize that not everyone who goes on the wrong path will always stay on that path. I think it's great that they also showed how one of the heroes can make mistakes, but he does end up realizing that he was wrong and tries to rectify those mistakes. He also realizes that history doesn't always have to repeat itself. I liked Yessie's arc as well, but once again I feel like she was sidelined. I think they need to put more time into showing her arc rather than just telling us about it. They spend time explaining that Yessie has been making cargo runs since the last time we saw her, and then all of a sudden Leia is explaining why she had her doing that and then appointing her to be a general. It's a good arc, but it all just feels a bit sudden. I feel like if they actually gave some more screen time to her arc, it would actually make it more impactful, because right now it just doesn't hold the same satisfaction that Sig and Dev's arcs do. I think the animation was once again absolutely magnificent. There are some shots that were just so cinematic looking, and it's just overall such a beautiful show to look at. The stop-motion-like action of their movements is once again so cool. Props to all of the animators because this show is an animation masterpiece. I think all of the Star Wars characters from last season were once again done really well. Darth Vader was once again hilarious, and I loved catching up with these characters that have been spun on their heads. I liked Lando and Grogu's introduction to the show, but wish they got a bit more time to be a threat to the heroes this season, as they were pretty hyped up in the season 1 finale. They did make quite an impression, however. I think Pieces of the Past is an excellent follow-up to an incredible first season of such a unique show. While I do think there were a few small issues with this season, I overall found it to be really enjoyable. It's such a pleasure to watch this beautiful animation, and the character writing is just so brilliant. I think they left every arc in a good spot to have a third season, so I hope we get more of this show because it is really such a gem.